drawing people at the right size, taking into consideration how far away they are from you or how close they are to you, is a no-brainer if everyone is the same height as you. If that's the case, then each person's eye level is the same as your eye level, and the horizon line is at your eye level. So everybody's eye level is intersecting with the horizon line. So all you have to worry about is drawing people that look essentially proportionally correct. And so you can go in a basic rule of thumb that an average person height would be 7 or 7.5 heads high. I'm just guesstimating that and looking at this. I didn't measure it. But if I want to situate someone standing here so that their feet are in contact with the ground at this point, that means they're much further away than this person. So at this distance, I know that their head would be intersecting the horizon line and their feet would be here. So I'm just going to guesstimate that their head would be around this size and there's their body. Let's take a person even further away. So their head would be quite small, even smaller perhaps than I drew it. Tiny little head, and this would be their body. Now what about someone who is really close? So let's try to gauge this properly. So I'm trying to guesstimate the head height for that height of person. And here we go. Here, perhaps a little bit larger head. So this is pretty straightforward. But what happens if people are not the same eye level as you? For instance, you could be sitting down and everybody else is going to appear to be relatively tall. So imagine you're sitting down looking at these people, they're milling around, you've just sat down, so the horizon line is going to drop with you. And this would be an example of a person who you would see if you were at a lower level than that person. The horizon line would not be at their eye level. The horizon line would have gone down as you would have sat down. So if we want to situate somebody here with their feet in contact with the ground here, how do we size this person? We know that their head is going to be somewhere above the horizon line, but we don't know exactly how much yet. So take a look at this. We connect the feet of our initial figure, which gives us this opportunity to scale every other figure. And we're going to draw a line through the feet of that figure, straight as we can, until it intersects the horizon line. And then, you're going to enjoy how simple this is. We're going to draw a line back so that it intersects the top of the head of that figure. Now you notice I drew a vertical line through that figure that helps me to know where these lines intersect the figure at a specific vertical line. So this point now, in contact with the head, going to that vanishing point, that line that connects that point to the vanishing point intersects the vertical line that gives me the location of the next person that I want to draw. I know the feet are in contact with the ground here, and this point is where the top of that person's head would be. So let's draw that person in. And we have a few other points to locate here. I've drawn a line very low, in fact completely out of the composition. And so I can use the same trick, but this time I'm going to draw a line from this person's foot location, or at least the center between their feet, through the center of the foot location of this person, and see where it ends up on the horizon line. So let's try that out. First I'll connect this line to that, and I'll extend it, trying to keep it as straight as possible, and see where it ends up on the horizon line. Okay? So now I know that this line intersects or initiates at the feet of this very close-up person, intersects the feet of the person who's in the middle ground, hits the horizon line ultimately. So by the same system that we used to determine the height of this individual, we can pull this line back through the middle of the head of our first person, and we can see right away that it's going to go way off of our composition. So let's take another point. let's take the point where the shoulders of this individual intersect that vertical line, and we're going to see where that ends up. So that ends up just outside of our composition. So what that tells me is that we're not going to have room for the head of this large individual, and all we're going to see, because the shoulders are off the composition, all we're going to see is a good part of the body of this individual. If we were to draw the whole thing, we would have to draw outside the composition, and the person's head would start here and go off the composition. The last issue we can think about is if we were to position a person here with the feet in contact with the ground, and then drop him into a hole, or her, we don't know who it is. So drop this person into a hole, how big would that person look? So the first thing that we're going to do is pretend that there's no hole there, and there's just the feet of this person here. And we're going to connect the feet of this person standing at the level of the hole with the feet of this person. So we're going to bring this line over. It intersects the horizon line here. And then we're going to connect this individual's head to that same point. And where that line intersects the vertical line that shows us essentially the vertical center of that individual, we can now draw that person in. So let's do that. So that's what that person looks like standing on the ground. But what happens if we drop this person into a hole? Perhaps the hole has a bottom that allows the upper chest of the person and the head to poke through. So we know how this person is scaled here. Now we're going to drop this individual down into the hole. How deep should we go? Let's go perhaps around here and a little bit off to the side. And we're just going to take this height and glide that down, okay? So that leaves us with just a little bit of the shoulders of that person and the head sticking out. So if we really pretend that this person's in a hole, we can erase out, here let's use the hand because it's going to end up being cleaner than the dirty eraser. Let's take this person out, and voila, we understand how that person would be scaled at that particular distance from the viewer if dropped down into a hole.